Ashwin. Thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Elias, thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Exciting times, my friend. Bull Run, November 14th. How do you feel about this release coming out soon?
I'm excited, man. It's been a long time coming. We shot this back in 2021. And so, as with any kind of independent film, it always takes a millennia to get things happening. But I'm really pumped for audiences to see it now, to get the chance to kind of see what we put all this time and effort into. So I think it's going to be really awesome.
So, what was your first reaction when you read the script about the world of Wall Street investing, banking? What
Yeah,
stood out?
when I
What stood out to you about this world?
Well, I think for me, I've had some friends in investment banking. And so when I read the script, it has a lot of the jargon in it, which initially I was like, all right, I'm going to do some research because
Yeah.
what does any of this mean? But I had a few friends who I was able to talk to and kind of understand the world. And I think the more I looked into it, the more I realized there's just so much craziness that happens there. It's not the kind of bland standard thing we can always, think of when it's like Wall Street and guys in suits. And so, I think the kind of stuff behind the curtain was really interesting to me, and then this character was so different to what I expected a character in this kind of film to be as well. So I saw that and I was like, all right, this is an opportunity to kind of really play and explore something that would be new to me as well.
How did you build the backstory for Farouk?
Yes, with Farouk, Alfredo, the director who also wrote the film, he and I were talking for quite a while, and we started with obviously this is a guy who he's got a billionaire dad. He's
Yeah.
working in this world. He isn't part of the cool club within the film, right? With they all have their kind of little groups, and he's kind of on the outside, so he wants to be accepted. But the cool thing with him was he has this whole thing where while he's doing the investment banking, he actually wants to become a filmmaker. He wants to write scripts, he wants to do that world. And I thought that was a really cool opportunity to kind of really play into that. And then when we're on set, essentially, and why Alfredo is so amazing is the script was a blueprint, right? The script was, all right, this
Mhm.
is the world. Let's now see what happens. And we created and invented so many things for this guy on set. He has a manservant named Peng that's around him all the time. Doesn't exist in the script. It only existed because on the first day we were shooting, where we had this background actor named Larry, he kind of looked great and kind of did a little great job in an opening scene. And we were like, what if he's there all the time? What if he's always around Farouk? And this guy was amazing. His improv was awesome. He kind of took whatever I gave. And so, again, all of that just got created on set because again, I guess everyone was open to collaboration, which makes things more fun.
Any challenges playing this character?
100%. I think the accent stuff for me is normally quite easy. In this film, he speaks French for a little bit. I learned Italian back in the day when I was in school for like a little bit, and so I it was a challenge to kind of get that happening. And I think also finding a balance between making him not too much of a cliche, not too much of a joke. Like I think there still had to be humanity to this guy. Otherwise, he could end up being like a Borat kind of character where we
Yeah.
laugh at him and we laugh, at all his kind of shtick. But if there's no humanity and we don't connect to him, it doesn't really matter. So I think finding that balance was always a challenge every day that we were there to not kind of push it to, the extreme.
You got a great cast too. You're like I've spoken to Tom before and I spoken to Chris before, but you also have like Jay Moore on there also. Like who's like your favorite person to work with in this film?
I mean, look, they're all great. I don't think I can play favorites. Obviously, Tom was really, really awesome to work with. Really lovely guy, very giving as well, which is always important. I think, for him, especially kind of almost playing the straight man in a comedy is always tough because often all the attention goes to the wacky, crazy people, and it takes someone with, very little ego to be able to just do what he needs to do, kind of give his character service and not kind of get swept up in the kind of wildness of other people. And that I think was really awesome. Brandon, Zach were all great to work with as well. Larry, who played Ping, was again a revelation in my mind because again, he didn't even know he was going to be that big in the movie. He was ready to do like one quick scene, and that was really great. And I think that was the fun thing is we were encouraged to kind of talk to everyone and, kind of take everyone in as family because on a film like this where it's not huge budgets, you want
Mm.
to kind of have a connection with everyone. And so I think everyone had their little things that were, kind of fun to deal with.
So how would you describe Farouk's journey from the beginning of the movie now to the end?
Yes, I think Farouk's journey, he essentially is the son of an Egyptian billionaire. He
Yeah.
wants, he feels like he runs this company, which he doesn't, but he feels like he runs it. And I think for him, he wants to be accepted. He wants to kind of have that, the ability to kind of be on this pedestal. And I think as the film goes and as more and more obstacles come into place, where essentially the other characters are kind of bullying him, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Making fun of him, kind of leading him on to something, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Wait, you were just kind of putting me on a wild goose chase." And I think as the movie kind of goes on, when we think about all the other characters, they're all in an existential crisis, right? They don't know what they want to do. They don't know if this is the world they want to be in. But Farouk is the only guy who knows that, hey, I want to be a filmmaker, even though I'm in investment banking.
Yeah.
He has a goal, he has a dream. And at the end of that movie, when he kind of essentially achieves that, he's one of the only people who kind of knows what he wants and achieves what he wants, which is a kind of bizarre thing in a film like this. And so, I think he kind of goes from being the outsider to being now essentially the star of his
Yeah.
own show.
Do you think Farouk serves like a mirror to like Bobby's journey in a way?
Yeah, 1,000%. Because I think with Bobby, and I guess this is with a lot of people who work in that industry, is, you can get swept up in the money, you can get swept up in kind of the numbers of that world, but figuring out what you want to do, figuring out what your
Yeah.
passion is and having the, ability and the kind of option to say, you know what? That's not what I want to do. I'm going to step away from something that's guaranteed, and take a shot and take a risk. And I think Farouk definitely mirrors that because he's trying to do that too, just on a kind of crazier, weirder scale.
Mm. How would you describe Farouk in 3 words, you think?
In 3 words, I think it's always tough. Insane in a good way is kind of one. I think insane in a good
Yeah.
way. I think, you know, I think he's weirdly generous.
Mm.
It's not something I think most people when you see those characters would think, but I think he's generous with his time and kind of what that time he gives to people. And I think the final thing is driven. He's 1,000% driven. And I think most people can take a page out of Farouk because no matter what obstacle comes his way, he finds a way to overcome it or he finds a way to use it and doesn't let that deter him. He's
Mm.
weirdly inspirational when you kind of look past the kind of silliness of it.
What kind of advice would Ashwin give Farouk if they were buddies?
Oh, if I was, I mean, I think I'm very different from Farouk. I think he's got an ego that is, I hope, much bigger than mine. And I think definitely kind of tampering down that ego would be that initial advice. But I think also, to kind of not, I don't know. I think in my life now I've realized that, you kind of got to stand your ground. You kind of got to be where your own 2 feet are. And I think when there's people around you who aren't serving you and who aren't the kind of people that are going to push you forward as a human being, you kind of got to let them go. And I think with Farouk, he's trying to get the validation of all those people who aren't serving him. So I think for me, I'd be like, hey, just you can move away from those and do your own thing. Otherwise, they're just dragging you down if you're looking for someone else to, say, hey, great job, but what you're doing is so good. Sometimes you just need to do that for yourself.
Could Farouk be like a friend for Ashwin, you think, or the other way around?
I like the fact that he's comes from a lot of money. I'm producing some films right now, and
There you go.
finance, especially in this day and age, is always the toughest thing. And so, if someone's willing to finance movies like Farouk is, I would happily
Right.
invite him to my home.
Last question. What do you hope the audience gets out of this film when they tune in to watch this?
Yeah, I think for me, it's beyond enjoyment and beyond kind of laughing. I hope, they kind of get a glimpse into a world that they may not know. Those who are
Mm.
in investment banking will get all the kind of little specifics and kind of get a kick out of that. But everyone else hopefully kind of, gets exposure And I think a lot of times nowadays we lack exposure to different people and to different environments, and we judge them based on what we maybe see on TV or on the news. And so this kind of opens up the world of investment banking as, oh, it's we think it's boring, but then when we see
Yeah.
this, we go, actually, there's a whole lot more to it, and there's a lot of humanity to that world as well. And so I'm hoping people come out of that understanding and kind of appreciating the humanity behind an industry that's just generally about money and numbers.
Amazing. So we have Bull Run November 14th. Ashwin, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. This was great. On
Elias, I
hopefully,
appreciate you.
hopefully we'll see you down the road on more projects.
That's the idea. Let's see what happens. So yeah,
That's
Bull
right.
Run November 14. Please go out and watch
Okay.
it on
Yeah.
demand, all that kind of good stuff.
That's right. Thank you.